A good compatibilist scholar to consider is Ayer. He is of the view that determinism is true, but that we can still be considered to be autonomous beings. Ayer begins with a consideration of the options regarding a person's choice of action. He points out that really there are two options. Either my action was an accident, or it isn't. If my action is an accident, then it is random chance, and it really cannot be rationally considered to be praise or blameworthy. If it is not an accident, however, then we must look at the possible causes for an action, and this then means that we are led back to determinism. In his philosophical essays, Ayer does see a problem with the soft determinist position. He claims that most compatibilists define free will as the consciousness of necessity. By this, a compatibilist would mean that we are aware of the causes that operate upon us and what it is that we are compelled to do. However, Ayer rejects this definition as nonsense, since being aware of the choices we are forced to make does not mean that we are free to make different ones. He points out that if we can define free will any way we choose, then it is of course highly likely that we are going to find a way to reconcile it with determinism. Instead of contrasting free will with causality, we should be contrasting free will with constraint. Free will and determinism are not opposites that we must choose between. Ayer points out that whilst causality and constraint may be the same thing, they need not be. It is not necessarily true that they are the same. So whilst it might follow that to be constrained you must be caused, it does not follow that to be caused you must be constrained. Ayer gives the example of someone who steals. The kleptomaniac steals regardless of what he desires. It might be that he really strongly wishes not to steal, but is caused to do so anyway by his mental condition. He might go through reasoning processes about his actions. He might even resolve not to steal, but he will still do so anyway. The kleptomaniac is caused and thus compelled to steal. He cannot act differently. However, the ordinary thief can resolve either way. The reasons for his decision may well be caused. Maybe this is because he has little money, or he is opportunistic, or maybe he enjoys the risks he takes in order to steal. Whatever the cause may be, it does not follow that he was constrained, because he is able to act in accordance with his desires, whereas the kleptomaniac can desire not to steal all he likes, but he will still do so anyway. Free will, then, is about being able to act in accordance with our desires, or our will, rather than having to act regardless of it. Being able to explain the causes of an action is not the same thing as being constrained by those causes. The natural law that explains it does not mean that a person has to act in that way as a result of it. The law accounts for the behaviour, but it doesn't dictate it. So provided that 1. I can act in one way and refrain from acting in another, 2. I act voluntarily, and 3. I am not constrained, I can be said to be acting freely. Determinism doesn't mean that one must be a helpless prisoner. It means that reason for my act can be explained.